Hey, good evening, everyone. Congratulations to the two candidates that won the election last week, was it? 2 weeks ago? Maria is here to swear you in. So, Maria?
You ready? You guys can do it together. All right. Raise your right hands, please. I do solemnly swear that I'll support the Constitution of the United States and the Constitution of this state, and that I'll faithfully discharge the duties of Board of Light and Power member in and for the City of Grand Haven, County of Ottawa, and State of Michigan according to the best of my ability.
Well, thank you, Maria. Oh, I have to sign it.
It'll be official here.
It's official.
Man.
Thank you, Maria. I'd like to call the Board of Light and Power November board meeting to order. Danielle, would you call the roll, please?
Director Crum,
Here.
Director Knopf,
Here.
Director Polyak,
Here.
Director Welling,
Yes, here.
Chairperson Westbrook.
Here. Okay, now that we have our two board members sworn in, our next item of business is nominations are now in order for the office of chair. It's a time where we select a chair and vice chair for the next cycle. Would anyone like to nominate someone for the position of chair?
I'd like to nominate Mike Westbrook.
I'll support.
Second and support, any discussion? Angst, issues, concerns?
No, just thank you for the last, 2 years you've been the chair? How long have you been the chair?
I don't even know, 3-ish.
Yeah, thank you.
Danielle, why don't you call the roll, please?
Director Crum,
Yes.
Director Knopf,
Yes.
Director Polyak,
Yes.
Director Welling,
Yes.
Director Westbrook.
Yes. Okay, nominations are now in order for vice chair. Would anyone like to nominate vice chairman?
I'd like to nominate Todd Crum.
Second. Nomination in second. Any further nominations? None, the nominations are closed. Discussion? Concerns? Hearing none. Danielle, would you call the roll, please?
Director Crum,
Yes.
Director Knopf,
Yes.
Director Polyak,
Yes.
Director Welling,
Yes.
Chairperson Westbrook.
Yes.
Thank you for that. I'm honored, truly.
Most senior people on the board.
He just felt too old, I think.
Hold it.
The next item on tonight's agenda is approving tonight's meeting agenda. Can I get a motion to approve?
Make the motion.
Motion by Director Crum,
Second.
second by Director Welling. Discussion? Danielle, would you call the roll, please?
Yes.
Yes.
Polyak,
Yes.
Welling,
Yes.
Westbrook.
Yes. Please stand for the Pledge of Allegiance.
Where is it?
Allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
At this time, this is one of two opportunities to hear comments from the general public. We ask that each commenter provide their name and address and any affiliated organization that they may be representing for the record. We respectfully ask that your comments be limited to 3 minutes each, and Austin will be our timekeeper tonight. Any public comments tonight?
Good evening. It's good to see the board remain the same. I always like to see the, experienced people up there and not having to maybe retrain. Probably not the right word, but one thing that was mentioned at the city council meeting by a new city council member was that it would be beneficial to start having common meetings again, city council, BLP board. I'd really like to see that because I think with projects like the conceptual airport solar, it'd be extremely beneficial to talk and for everybody to understand the benefits, et cetera, et cetera. The other thing I'd like to see, maybe somebody at tonight's meeting mention, is what is the status of the conceptual solar at the airport? I read a lot, look at all the websites, et cetera, Facebook, and I haven't seen any update. So looking forward to hearing one. Thanks.
Thank you, Jen. Anyone else? Mayor Pro Tem Dora, you have the floor.
Person that Jim was referring to was me. I'll fess up. You probably didn't want to admit it, but I can only recall when I was on council for 2 years previous to these four, the meetings that we held on a pretty regular basis with the BLP, and I found them to be very interesting and well worth the time that was put into it. I felt that it was really inappropriate that they haven't happened in the last 4 years, but I have reached out and asked for them to start up again. I know there's been conversation with regards to that already, and I'm hoping that we can do that, and I look forward to meeting with all of you, having a chance to mutually discuss things that are going on around the town and how we can work to benefit each other. So appreciate it. Thank you all. Have a good evening.
Thank you, Mike. Others? Hearing none, we'll move on to item 7 on the agenda. Vredenveld Hefner is here to provide a 2025 fiscal year audit presentation. Mike is your name, right?
Yep.
Mike Vredenveld.
All right. Yeah. So I was supervised the field work for the audit this year, and things went really well. We were able to get everything we needed in a good, efficient fashion, working with the staff here. The overall process went smooth. On page 1 of our audit report, you will see a good, clean audit opinion. It's exactly what you're looking for when you have an audit done. So I did put together a little slideshow, just kind of go over a couple little trends here. It's only 5 slides long. So yeah, we'll get into that. So this is net position. This is kind of your, how do you describe it? The bottom line. So you'll see the unrestricted net position has been going up pretty quickly the past few years. Good years there. So definitely good to see that going up instead of down. The next slide is going to show revenue by source. So you can see, where you're getting your money from has been staying consistent for the past 5 years now, right kind of what we would expect to see there. The next slide is going to show some expenses and transfers by activity and year. So it, kind of gives a little 5-year, and you'll see a real goofy looking spike off to the right side there. So that was back in 2021 and 2022. And that was when that big asset retirement obligation was recorded. That was a new accounting standard those years. So that's why there's those spikes there. Otherwise, stayed fairly consistent. And then the next slide here just kind of shows your change in net position over the past 10 years, it looks like. So you'll see, they were doing well, and then there was a bit of a dip, and you'll see that dip is right around when that asset retirement obligation was recorded. So I think that was about $7 some million of expenditures that were recorded those years. So yeah. Anyway, that's all I have. But if there was any specific questions on the actual audit report, I'm happy to answer or address any of those.
Thank you, Mike.
You're welcome.
Questions for Mr. Vredenveld?
All right. Thank you.
Very much. Could I get a motion to receive and file the 2025 financial audit presentation?
Make the motion.
Motion by Warren, second. Oath, discussion. Just like to thank Lynn and the team for their excellent job keeping our financials strong and another good audit year. So thank you, Lynn, and thank you, staff. Neil, would you call the roll, please?
Yes.
No,
Yes.
Polyak,
Yes.
Welling,
Yes.
Westbrook.
Yes. All right, next on the agenda, we've got a few organizational items with an election. Danielle has an overview on some board manual updates. So Danielle, you want to cover some?
If you want. So you have your board orientation manuals, and every year about this time of year, we update so that you have the most up-to-date hard copy items in there. Many of the items that you're getting updates of have been presented throughout the last year. For example, the cost of service study or the customer satisfaction survey. These are just making sure that you have your most up-to-date, all in one nice location. You're not having to search different board packets to find those materials. A couple of things to note, your 2026 planning schedule is in there. And just based on the public comment, I did want to remind the board that you have set aside 2 months that you have noted to try and arrange joint meetings for. So those are on that schedule as a reminder for you. There's an updated organizational chart in there, so you can kind of see what staff we have, where they're at. One section that there's an update on is our record retention. So back earlier this year, when the board approved the policies, we did a bunch of them at a time. We officially adopted the state's record retention as the one we will use. I'm also providing you with the administrative section. So the record retention has different parts. There's a human resources one, there's an accounting one, there's an IT one. Those won't really affect you as board members. But I did give you a copy of the administrative section because some of the sections in that you may have records of. There's a section called, calendars and planning, general correspondence or transitory records. Rob will probably jump in here. We want to have a little bit more of a talk about the record keeping. Just to remind you that all of your board official records, the office is the designated holder of those records. So for example, if we have to keep board minutes indefinitely, when we send you a copy in your board packet, that doesn't mean every member has to keep those minutes indefinitely. The office is the location of record for those files. So let Rob jump in here.
Yeah, like Danielle said, so it's kind of important. So, we've had some issues in the past, so making sure we're all doing best practices. That's why everybody has been issued a BLP email address. So we recommend that you use, strongly recommend you use that for all BLP business. That way we're able to maintain it, keep that backed up, etc. All that kind of thing should be going through all your official BLP channels. But to elaborate on Danielle's comment, like the board meeting minutes are a great example, right? We will send you out the board packet. It will tell you that board meeting minutes and stuff like that need to be held, board meeting minutes need to be held forever. We will hold those. So that does not mean you cannot delete that email when you're done using it. You have every right to keep it, but that doesn't mean that you are on the hook. So when you read through that section, make sure you're looking at it, where is the appropriate place for retention? So once again, financials are another example. Obviously, financials are held here at the office. So just because we're sending you our financial statements as part of the board packet, that once again does not mean you are the record keeper. Obviously, if there is ever a FOIA or things like that, we'll reach out to people, ask if you do have information. Danielle is our FOIA coordinator, so she will be handling that. But how we do it internally, what we would do in the same process with the board members is we'll use the accounting, for example, again. Danielle doesn't keep all those files. Lynn's department, accounting department has that. She would go over to the accounting department and say, hey, I need these files, these receipts or whatever about this subject. And that is our official place of repository. Does that make sense? So when you're doing that, when you're looking through your emails and you're reading that policy or that schedule, make sure you're thinking through that. What does that really mean to you? Frankly, you're not the official repository of anything other than probably your own correspondence. Correspondence would be official things back and forth. That does not mean if I email Director Poliak and say, hey, do you want to meet for lunch today? That is not official correspondence. That's considered transitory. Once it's served its purpose, it can be deleted. So once we have lunch or yes, he responds back, yes, 11 o'clock is great. There's no reason to keep that per that retention schedule. So I just thought it would be helpful we do this training with our employees. We talk about this here, obviously trying to give that same courtesy to the board to understand what your obligation is and what it isn't. So if you ever have questions, feel free to reach out to me, Danielle, Dan, Austin, anybody as Dan and Austin are on the IT side. So, how do we keep files? How do we keep that? They'd be a good resource. If it's about retention stuff, etc., Danielle would be a great resource, but feel free to reach out if you have questions on what is my role in that. We're trying to make the burden as little on you as possible because we're trying to keep all that here so that if something does come up, and we have had stuff in the past that if they do want those information, it's not commingled into your personal stuff, right? It's all businesses over here. Personal is over here. You have your personal rights, you have your personal First Amendment protections, et cetera. But if you're doing it on a BLP computer, that muddies that water, doesn't it? So let's make sure that we keep those separate and keep those things independent. Any questions on that or further thoughts?
As I of the year, so I'll just mention the ones that you haven't seen. You have an updated list of our largest customers. And we did put in there, instead of printing out the whole electric service rules, standards, and rates book, which you approved earlier this year, we just put a piece of paper in there directing you to the website, because that is a document that is edited, you know, as things change, as we have to make tweaks, and we don't want to have to print you out a, 60-page thing every time. So whatever you want to check any of our customer service rules online would be the spot to make sure you have the most updated information. Otherwise, everything else you have seen, and now we're just getting it into one place. So when you need it, you have it at your fingertips.
I guess on the record retention thing, did we have, I think we we're gonna talk about, retaining information, like, I know you guys are the record keeper, but if people wanted records, I mean, we aren't retaining, I don't keep binders and binders in my house, but if we did wanna, can I see an old resolution or obtain information? Way to get that information is you can send, the chair copy, Rob, that's kind of the process we need anything, certainly ask, request, and but you don't have to keep reams of those things at home.
The idea is we want to make sure that everything's getting funneled. I look at the chairperson as a funnel coming this way and as me as a funnel coming this way from staff, then that way we can make sure everybody is getting all the pertinent information. So it's not one member doing one thing, one member doing another thing. We want to keep that group together and make sure everybody's aware of. And if we don't have the answer, once again, we'll go find it, but we do keep all that documentation here and we'll make sure that we get it out to everybody.
And as far as like, I get an occasional rogue email that runs into my personal Gmail account for BLP. GHBLP account, please use this in the future. So just. Thank you very much for that, Danielle. Appreciate it. The next item of business is reviewing our bylaws, which is something we do every time we have an election. We have a requirement of the review. Everybody's had a chance to take a look at those. I think we just revised them not too long ago. Is there any items of discussion or concern from the board for our bylaws that you want to bring up tonight?
No, I'm happy with the way it is.
All right. The next item is, can I get a motion to approve our consent agenda?
I'll make the motion.
Motion by Welling. Second. Poliak, discussion. Rob, mention on the KPIs of significance or anything other? I didn't see anything that jumped up. Hearing none. Danielle, would you call the roll, please?
Yes.
No.
Yes.
Oh, yeah. Welling.
Yes.
Westbrook.
Yes. Can I get a motion to approve the one PO tonight for $51,175?
Make the motion.
Motion second. Discussion. Rob, you want to just explain the purchase?
Yeah, that's if you remember, some of them probably more than others, it affects their work, but we had a directional bore strike out on Industrial Park Drive here a month and a half ago. That cable out there is basically at the end of its useful life. So we've decided at this point not to try to repair that cable. It's a loop system, so we're able to open that, isolate that problem. So this is purchasing cable just to replace that cable and upgrade that cable to a new cable and larger cable, which will allow us to some more flexibility in switching and et cetera in the future. So we're kind of that whole Industrial Park Drive, that horseshoe shaped road up there, we're going to piecemeal our way around it and continue just replacing from cabinet to cabinet as we go. So.
Questions? Danielle, would you call the roll, please?
Yes.
No.
Yes.
Poliak.
Yes.
Welling.
Yes.
Westbrook.
Yes. Next up is a presentation from Mr. Booth on our renewable energy and sustainable goals.
Can you pull up that presentation, Dan? While he's doing that, I'll just say it was a really good year for our renewable portfolio. We added 2 good-sized projects, and we've been on quite a journey in the last 5 years, and you'll see that in a couple of slides. Can you shrink that a little, Dan, please? No worries.
Solar field.
It's all good. So that's a picture of the Assembly Solar One project in Shiawassee County. Can you go to the next slide, please, Dan? So we had 2 large solar projects come online. The first one was Brentwood Solar in the early part of the year. And the second one was the Whitetail Solar Project. And I'll go into a little more detail in them in the next slide. But can you click on that link, Dan? MPPA put together a really nice video commemorating the Brentwood Solar Project. We'll play that for you guys real quick. It's not very long.
I'm with contracts for a portion of this solar project. We consider it utility scale because it's very, very large in nature. It's 125 megawatts in size. To make that a little bit more real in terms of how many homes this could power in a year, approximately 30 to 35,000.
At the Holland Board of Public Works and in the city of Holland, we have a community energy plan. And one of the levers in that community plan is to change our electric portfolio over time. Part of that effort is to help decarbonize our community. Lowering the carbon intensity of our portfolio is one of the ways that we're doing that. And we've incorporated a lot of renewable projects into our portfolio already. But we're very excited to have the Brentwood project as an addition to that to help us further towards that goal. In the Grand Haven community, this will bring us up to approximately 30% of clean energy in our power supply portfolio. So this is really an opportunity for us to partner with others and up that percentage and get it at an affordable rate. While the Holland Board of Public Works is a fairly large municipal utility, it still lacks the scale to be able to develop a project and own a project of this size on its own. So partnering with other municipalities is really key to our ability to get this type of resource into our portfolio. Working with Michigan Public Power Agency and the other municipals that are part of this project gives this project the economy of scale that works so that we can diversify our portfolio and get our resources from a number of different sites as opposed to just one particular site.
Through the Michigan Public Power Agency, a relatively small utility in Lowell is able to take advantage of economies of scale and just all the benefits from bringing everybody together to work on a project as a group.
Joint action is critical for Grand Haven, especially a utility of our size. A project like this is very land intensive. We don't have all the land in Grand Haven. And so that gives us the opportunity to partner with others and move that goal further ahead for our customers. Partnering on a project like this helps bring a cost-effective renewable resource into our portfolio and to continue to provide low cost, reliable, and now cleaner electricity as part of our offering to our community.
Can you go to the next slide, Dan? So this pooling of resources is a critical component to making our renewable portfolio a success. So we presented a slide very similar to this in September of 2022. And at the time, just so you guys can understand the difference between the projects, the blue highlighted projects are projects that have been completed. The green are projects that are left outstanding. When we presented this slide to you in September of 2022, only 2 were blue. That was the Assembly Solar 1 and 2. Very large projects. We never could have endeavored on something like that on our own. And over the past, we had the Calhoun Solar Project go online in May of 2023. Then we had a gap year in 2024. And then we had the Brentwoods and the Whitetail Solar Project go online this year. In fact, Whitetail Solar just went online November 4th. It was finished at the end of October, but they reached commercial operation date November 4th. Heartwood Solar is the last solar project that we've contractually obligated the BLP for, and that should go online by the end of 2026. So when you're looking at these 6 solar projects and you total them all up, that's 23 megawatts of solar. And so what does that mean in comparison to what the size of the BLP is? So you've got to take that 23 megawatts on solar and add in 8 megawatts of wind plus the 2.5 megawatts of gas, In total renewables for a peak or for generating capacity, you're at 33.8 megawatts. Now we peak at around the 65 megawatt, but our peak is very, very, very short. So our average load, we're a very small utility. Our average load is 31.8 megawatts in 2024, and that was kind of a low year. But that just helps you put it in relation when you're talking 33.8 megawatts of total solar. That's a staggering amount of renewables for a small utility like this. If you can go on the next slide. So when you wanted to, if you were to ask where all of our projects are, this is a map that shows you where each of them are. So the BB Wind project is in Gratiot County. That's about 5,800 megawatt hours. The Pegasus Wind project is in Tuscola County. I think I'm pronouncing that right. I'm from the UP, so I'm not used to these weird lower Michigan names. I'm teasing. 17,500 megawatt hours. That's our largest project. Assembly Solar 1 and 2 are back to back, and they're both in Shiawassee County. And Calhoun Solar and Brantwood Solar is also in the same county in Calhoun. Whitetail Solar is the one that just got completed, which is in Washtenaw County. Hart Solar, which is yet to be completed, will be going up in Oceana County. And then we have the two landfill gas, or two different owners is how we broke it out. And they're in various locations in Michigan and some in PJM. And just so you know, NANR stands for North American Natural Resources, and EDL stands for Energy Development Limited. So Rob said in the video that we're at about 30% renewables, and he's spot on. When you take that nearly 86,000 megawatt hours, which is total at the bottom, and you divide that by, we'll just say roughly 280,000 megawatt hours of purchases, that puts you just a little over 30%. So we're really leaving the cave, killing something and dragging it home when it comes to renewables. We're doing a bang up job. Next slide. So where does that put us in relation to these new state laws that came out in 2023? So the state requirements are for 50% renewable energy from 2030 to 2034, which then increases to 60% from 2035 thereafter. That's at least the law on the books as it is today. Could it change? Sure, it's possible. We don't know, but that's what it is today, and that's what we're complying with. The Board of Directors for the BLP approved the Renewable Energy Plan in January 2025 to show the MPSC we will be in compliance. And additionally, you approved a renewable energy credit purchase from 2027 to 2035. Now, that's a critical component because what that does is that allows you to bank and keep those project-specific RECs and retire these over-the-counter RECs. So what you've done by all of these early measures with these 6 solar projects, these 2 wind power projects, the various landfill gas projects, and this strategy of retiring these over-the-counter RECs and banking these project-specific RECs for future compliance years, it's put you into compliance out to 2036. So that's a decade of compliance. We're in fantastic shape with the renewable portfolio standard. So when we look at that kind of graphic off to the right, it talks about diversification. By doing what we've done, it allows you to keep spreading those eggs in multiple baskets, making small incremental investments. This community, this utility is in really good shape as far as its renewable portfolio standard goes. And I didn't have a long presentation. That was the last slide. So if you have any questions, I'm happy to answer them, but.
When do the landfill contracts, some of those, and
So as of right now, they start dropping off in 2027. MPPA is working, and there's not a whole lot we can divulge, but there might be some opportunities to stretch those out further into the future, and that's what they're working on now. And if they're economical and it's a good move for us, then they'll come back and they'll recommend it.
like the first at the Fort Lane Power went under contract with
It was, yep.
and that was a very long contract at that time.
It was. Well, they all are really. I mean, they're 20-year contracts for these things. So these are very long-term commitments.
Net delivered numbers?
Yes.
Dan, can you go to page 58? So I tie this back to some of the information you guys get every month in your packet. We give you the MPPA resource position report. And one of them in here, here's our, forecast renewable energy credit or our REC position. So Eric was talking about being in compliance. So you can see, this is a good graphical way to check every month where we're at, what we're planning, how many RECs we're gonna have, how we're gonna retire them. This is a graphical representation of the plan we discussed. So as you can see on the bottom, the green is the bar is how much we have. The blue bar is what we're required to retire. So you can see we're gonna be bleeding it down until, like you said, 2036. So what that does is, if you remember a while ago, we did a energy and rec purchase to help facilitate this, I think earlier in the year. And that really did buy us time to be able to go out and, you talk about your point, Todd, earlier about one of the first ones we did was landfill gas. Some energy, because we had to race to be compliant. And we were at the mercy of the marketplace. What we've really done here is really been forward thinking and giving ourselves a decade to walk into this and not put ourselves in a position where we have to go buy something just because we have to be compliant and then pay out the nose for it, right? So we need to stay in the course, keep evaluating these types of projects, keep adding, moving, et cetera. So we're not done. I'm not saying anybody to think that, but making these same little measured investments, layering them on and off, right? We don't want them all to fall off a cliff either in, let's say, 20 years from now. So the next 2 general managers from now has got to worry about, I was at 50% or 75% renewable, and now all of a sudden I'm at 0. So you want to make sure we're making these measured investments over and over and over and making the steps, because time is important. The energy, whether it's solar or wind, layering them in independently, because guess what? Wind comes on different times than solar does. So if you're trying to build a portfolio, you want to make sure you're looking at different fuels. You want to make sure you're looking at different time frames, different partners, et cetera. And that gives you that best way of diversification. So your eggs aren't all in the one basket analogy we always use. So like I said, I thought it was a good time to update the board, because we did have 2 projects come online, and it's something I think the board's proud of. I think the staff, we're pretty proud of the gains we've made, because if you really think back, 5 years ago, we were producing all our energy out of Sims. We were burning coal. Look at what we've done. So there's a lot to be proud of. I mean, I say that every other meeting, and I do mean it. I'm proud of this board, Light and Power. I'm proud of the things that we've done. And I think our community is, and I think the board is as well. So this is just one more example of things that we've done, things that we're going to continue to work on, and how we're going to continue to move that ball forward to be compliant and meet our customers' expectations. So.
Rob, and it's interesting that it's all solar. I mean, are there any wind projects going on right in the market right now, or is it projects come online?
Right now, it's all solar going on right now, but there's not even a lot of new ones being proposed, even solar being proposed right now. There's a scramble to get things done. I mean, with everything changing with tax credits and NIMBYism, not in my backyard, is an analogy we hear a lot. Everybody might be all for it, but they don't want to see their farmland turn into solar panels, or they don't want wind turbines near their house. So when the rubber meets the road, there's a lot of problem trying to get supply chain issues, labor issues, land issues, interconnection issues. If you want to tie to the grid, that interconnection queue could be 5 to 6 years. So do you want to develop a project, you have to go to the MISO queue and try to get it studied and et cetera. So you want to build a substation. You've heard me talk about how long time it takes to get some of our substation material, right? So all these things take time. And I think that's a bigger picture, even when we start thinking about power supply in general. We're hearing things that we need more generation in the grid, especially with data centers and things coming on. That's not a problem you solve overnight. So we need to be talking and looking, which we are, what do we do? How do we layer that in there? What's best for our community? How do we meet those goals and those scenarios? So some of it's going to have to be renewables. You hear there's a nuclear plant coming back online that they shut down. They're going to bring that back online by the first of the year is what they're saying. We just saw, I think it was yesterday, Campbell was extended another 90 days. guess what? I wouldn't be surprised if in 90 days, we're seeing another extension because they can only do 90 days at a time. So we're looking at all that. We're working through our partnerships and evaluating those projects, but this will be something that, once again, if we're looking out from concept to building, we're talking about years. Not that I'm proposing doing, but you look at a natural gas turbine. There's 6 years from the date of order. So if we need to be forward thinking is all I'm getting at, and we're doing that. We're looking at it. I know the staff is looking at it, the board's looking at it, but just keep that in mind when we start having these conversations. What we do today, best case scenario, even for the fastest, earliest stuff, some of that stuff only comes on like minimum of 2 years. So bigger stuff takes 5. You want to build a nuclear plant? Maybe 15 years to get all the permits. So all that stuff just takes time. And we got to be thinking about what we're going to do 10 years from now instead of tomorrow.
Eric, thank you, Rob. Next up is our chairman's report. I really don't have anything on the agenda to talk about this month, except for several of us were at the retiree and employee luncheon this week, which was really fun to see. Rubbing elbows and being out on the shop floor. I had a good time. Soup for All was today, and the whole BLP staff was pretty much, I mean, it's a large group of BLPers there serving soup, and nice to see you guys out. Other business, we got an award announcement.
Yes,
I see a
so
glass award on the table.
yep, we've got another award here from APPA. It's a customer satisfaction award. We won at the bronze level, so thank you to the team, customer service, obviously the front line there, but some things that also even our crews in the field, they are asked about their ratings for, are your things resolved the first time? Were you satisfied with the results? I mean, in order to get this to our level, I think we had to be over 85% on all categories. So, and like I said, it's not just one metric. They asked a bunch of metrics, and so our surveys and all that stuff we've done feed into that. So once again, we talked about it when we had our customer satisfaction survey earlier in the year, and it's just confirmation of the fact that yes, our results are good. So we're at bronze. Hopefully next year we move up to the next level. So we want to get over that 90% and gets us on all categories, will get us to the next level. So that's a goal. So another thing to mention is we did get an award of merit in communications. So if you remember the video we made with the three-legged stool talking about reliability, sustainability, and affordability, that was recognized by APPA as an award of merit of people like it. It worked out really well. It's a good way to explain, good governance and good utility management to the public, and others are liking it. And I think it's kind of on the idea, and I like it. So we gotta get an award for that. So a couple other things that have happened here since the agenda went out. I got a phone call today from the Grand Haven Area Community Foundation. I have applied for a grant for the community solar project to see if they'd be willing to help assist with that. We made it past what they call the letter of intent stage. So we're into they've asked us to apply for a full grant. So we'll continue to work down that path and filling out those forms and we'll probably talk to certain people about letters of support, things like that, to try to see if we can get some money, if we can make that project a go. So that's some good news. Speaking of the same thing, I am going to the airport board on Tuesday I'm on the agenda there to try to discuss with them more of the concept of what we want to do on that property, et cetera. So trying to go around, educate people, keep that ball moving, trying to get buy-in at this level. Like, we're all at the buy-in level. I applied for a grant, but I can't accept a grant if I don't have a place to build it. So we need to make sure we're working with the city council, with the board, the airport board, and other stakeholders to make sure that we can pull this one off. So that's all I have.
On the discussions on the solar, community solar, you mentioned, the airport board. Actually, is it gonna be on properties that the airport board oversees, or is it just the city's property, but you're like in the fly zone or something?
Well, it's, depends on who you ask, I guess is the best way to say it. The airport does not own any property. All airport property is city property. So is the airport board charged with operations of the airport, et cetera? Absolutely. Are they a major stakeholder in this process? Absolutely. At the end of the day, if you look at the deed, it says City of Grand Haven. Frankly, so does our property. But by charter, the only two departments of the city that are allowed to own property are City Council and the Board of Light and Power. So we'll have to work all that out. I don't have all those answers. I'm sure that'll be questions we'll have to work out with the city attorney. But I mean, even at the end of the day, it's not like I'm gonna go to the Register of Deeds and the property is gonna say anybody's different name on it, right? It's still the City of Grand Haven. We're still the City of Grand Haven. So how all that works out legally, I think that's some of the topics for discussion and try to figure that out. And I don't have all those answers, how that, if they even want to sell the property, or is there going to be some sort of lease or easement, maybe just an easement on the property to be able to place solar panel. There's all sorts of ways that we can work through this, all depending on how we get there. So that's the problem. But as I think you guys know, there is a clock ticking if we want to try to get tax credits. And that means we have to have construction started by July 4th of 2026. So this is a uphill battle to try to get all the people buy-in, figure out things, sign a contract, get material coming and start construction in that amount of time. That's really fast for a city to do anything that quickly. I'll just put it that way. It's fast for a private developer, let alone fast for governmental agencies. So, but we're working on it. And even if we don't meet that deadline, we're still, we saw that there's desire to look into this from our community. So if we can't get 30% tax credits, yes, it's going to be more expensive, but doesn't mean people don't want to participate anyways. We'll still plan on bringing that idea if we can get past some of these technical hurdles to the community as well.
Airport board, we're putting the effort in just to try to get some consensus with them, but
From my understanding, no, but I mean, I think it makes a heck of a lot more.
advisory board.
They're an advisory board, yep. Just like any other board in the city, they're advisory to city council. The Board of Light and Power is different. You guys are elected by the electors, just like city council. So you have more autonomy and more authority than any other commission or board in the city government. So ultimately, yes, it'll be something that the city council will have to agree to and approve, et cetera. But obviously, I think it goes a long way to try to get the people that, as you know, trying to get along to get some answers and put them at ease. I think that really that's what my plan for Tuesday is, to try to explain it at a high level, help them understand what we're trying to accomplish, and ask for buy-in.
I'm on Tuesday, Rob.
I believe it's 6 o'clock, either 5 or 6. But yes, like I said, just trying to get that buy-in and get them to understand what we're trying to do. And I believe 5:30. It's at 5:30 at the airport. So that's where we're at today. And I'll keep you posted as we move along. And I'm sure that'll be a topic for a joint meeting at some point between the board and city council. A pin in it. There'll have to be some sort of agreement.
I see we earmarked on our calendar here a couple of council meetings for 14th or 18th. So we've got a couple, Mike, if I'm not sure if you've seen this earmarked that work for us. So worked on our end right when we put the calendar together.
Yeah, I think I heard back a little bit from, I think when we talked about it before, that the week of a board meeting would be probably a council meeting would be preferred. I don't believe the city council at this time wants it to be a back-to-back or the same day as a city council meeting, but of that same, their meeting's on a Monday, so let's pick another day that same week to try to get that squared around, so.
Another public comment period. At this time, it's your second opportunity to provide public, general comments from the public. Any interest in the? Hearing none, I'll take a motion to adjourn.
Make the motion.
Motion second. Danielle, would you call the roll, please?
Trump,
Yes.
no,
Yes.
Kolyak,
Yes.
Welling,
Yes.
Westbrook.
Yes. Meeting adjourned.